Oh, there we go. I think it's it started. What do you know? Good. Welcome. It's Realities May Vary, the podcast that talks about whatever the hell we want to talk about. That's Cody Gough. I'm Brian Noonan. A lot to get to today. I know normally you are very excited to be in a separate room than myself. Tonight, probably more so than ever, because I got the news yesterday that I am positive for COVID after dodging it for 2.5 years, being fully vaccinated, fully boosted. I blame it on the flight back from Ireland.
Which, worse things to blame it on. Better than the flight to Ireland.
That's true. I'm not complaining because so far, I'm going to knock on wood. So far, things seem pretty manageable. Cough, runny nose, headache, fatigue. That's it. A little intestinal distress too, but that's, not like you. When you had it, you were almost convinced you had to go to the hospital.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I am dealing with it fine at this point. Debbie has not come down with it yet, but she is going to she's going to be test positive tomorrow morning is my guess. Because I tested positive yesterday morning. She tested negative, as did Molly, who was with us. She picked us up from the airport Friday night and was with us Saturday. Saturday night's when I started feeling punky. And so Debbie was negative again today, but she then, as the day's gone on, she started coughing more. So I anticipate her to be positive tomorrow. Now, the big question is then do we have to stay separate from each other? Probably not. If we both are positive, can we just intermingle?
Yeah, I mean, what? Yeah. Yes.
Because now I've been staying upstairs 99% of the time. And when I go downstairs, we both have masks on and I make her leave any area that I'm going to wander into.
Yeah.
So that's that. That's the big, wow. I know, excuse me, because we didn't wear masks. I don't know if we were dumb or we were just, nobody was wearing masks. We were just, we didn't wear masks on the plane. We didn't wear masks over there. We were all about the country. And, but then on the way back, it was, I don't know. There was a guy, it was a 2-4-2 seating aisle on the plane. Debbie and I had 2 on the end, but the guy across the aisle from her was a scumbag, basically. You could tell he hadn't washed and he was sneezing and coughing, he's picking his nose the whole time. And I was like, Debbie was my buffer to him, but I know somehow his vile excrement got to me. It's horrible. That's the worst part of the endeavor. That was
of course. I mean, you had a whole trip to Ireland that you must hear about.
Well, we listen. What are we going to talk for hours and hours? We don't have that much time. But I will say this: first of all, hello to everybody who is in the chat. We appreciate you being here. Let's do this first because this may impact how things go tonight. My man, your son, is having a little trouble with bedtimes. This has started a while ago, but he seems to be getting a little more. He's getting more headstrong with his bedtime. He does not want to go to bed. What's the deal?
I don't know. He sleeps he slept through the night for a year, probably long time anyway. And no, his recent thing is just when you put him down, now he really insists on not staying in bed. So there are 2 things that we've determined works. One is essentially locking him in his room, which I'll get to. The other is he's very attached to his mother, very, very attached. Still insists that he loves me too. No, he's a mama's boy right now. Of course,
yes.
So the other thing that I discovered was if I get to his door and I don't close the door, I'm like, just lay down, bud. Just lay down. I'm going to leave the door open. And I tell him I'm leave the door open. Just lay down. I'll leave the door open. We'll be fine. And I slowly back out of the room. And he's pounding at my door right now. I slowly back out of the room and he lays down and he goes to sleep. Well, clearly that tactic is not working. So I must now go lock him in his room. I will be right back.
This is going to be rough.
The benefit of the slowly back away is that he goes to bed without crying. And you don't want him to end his day crying. That's sad.
No, that's horrible.
But I'm going to be a horrible dad and do that right now. So
all right.
We'll just see in a second.
All right, this is very exciting for those of you who may just be
Mhm.
joining us. Cody is about to go lock his child in a room, much like zookeepers at the end of the day when they put the animals back in the pen and they close the gate and lock them. So this is going to be very odd. Yeah. So this whole week is going to be weird because now with the COVID, it changes everything. It changes up everything. But I will take this opportunity while Cody is gone to plug away that I am going to be back on WTMJ this Thursday from 6 to 8. And then next Monday, October 10th from 6 to 9. And then there's more dates in October. So there's going to be a lot of me back on Milwaukee radio. If you are interested, you can go to WTMJ.com or you can just tune it in on your radio. If you still have a radio in your car or in your home, 6:20 a.m. So there you go for that. Yeah, we did. This is, I don't know where to begin with the Ireland trip, except to say, first off, bottom line, it was wonderful and it was everything I hoped. And there was nothing that we had on our itinerary that afterwards I went, we could have skipped that. Everything was fantastic. Yeah, Mike said he's flying to LA next week. Maybe I'll wear your mask on the planes. I don't care what people say. I know that's where I got it because a lot of the stuff I was doing was outside. And the last things we did in Dublin were on Thursday, and I felt great on Thursday. So I'm sure it came on the plane ride Friday, and then I got sick Saturday night. So
Wow.
that was it. But so what? Now you locked him in?
I got the best of both worlds. So I waited for him to lay down very gently,
Yes.
walked out of the room, and then slowly closed the door.
Okay.
And now he's theoretically locked in. Although it's nice to have him locked in when there's a working doorknob. Did you hear? Did I tell you this story on the show
No.
about
What's
the
going
doorknob?
on? Wait, you have a child locked in a room with no way to get out?
Well, no, look, no, it was we did. No, look, since our house was built in 1640, we have very old everything, and the doors, that includes the doors. Well, it turns out that at some point, some handymen or self-described handymen at this house must have tried to fix that door because the
Yeah.
doorknob to his room just stopped latching entirely. It just stopped. You just couldn't. You turn it left, you turn it right. Doesn't matter. The little thing doesn't come to click into the. So the door wouldn't shut. So we had some kind of strap that my brother-in-law left here. He had a bunch of crap he just left at our house when he stayed with us for a month last summer
Okay.
or something. And there was this like not a leather, like a belt, like some kind of tool strap that you would not a bungee cord. It was just like it's literally a strap with some you would adjust it maybe for skiing. I don't even know. So
Okay.
anyway, it doesn't matter. We hooked the strap on the doorknob and then pulled it over to the railing, the stair railing, and wrapped it around the railing. So we just had a strap hanging across, like you
Oh
would do
my
in a college
God.
dorm, like you would
Yes.
prank someone with a bungee cord hooking the doors across. I don't know what kind of maybe a ratchet strap. I'll Google that. Either that's a joke and I'm about to feel stupid, or it might actually be a ratchet strap. I don't actually. Yes, a ratchet strap. Thank you. Yes, correct, Mike. A ratchet strap. So we had a ratchet strap, and yeah, the ratchet strap stretched across the hallway at night,
This
thus
doesn't sound safe at all.
completely locking him in. I will say there's a smoke detector in there that's shrill, but we would ratchet strap lock his door. Now we finally had a locksmith come today who had to reschedule a couple times. And now there's a brand new doorknob. It's great. There's no lock on
Perfect.
it. I don't know why that happened,
You
but
don't
we
need a
got it.
lock. You don't want to lock on a bedroom door for
No,
your
we got the
kid.
childhood. We got the childhood grip. So he can't get out. Well, theoretically, he can't get out. He seems quiet. He's right next door. I think he likes listening to me talk at night, like when we do
Yeah.
this, so he can kind of hear me. So it should be fine. We're
He's
all
taking
good.
notes
We're
to hold
handling.
against you in therapy when you're when he's older.
Yes.
And my
Yes.
father told me about all this.
Yes. No, that's all the news with my son. I want to hear about your trip.
Yes. All right.
But
So yes.
first, I have to
Ooh.
preface this with something very odd that
Oh
I'd like
no.
you to keep in mind during this story. It's actually a very good thing.
Yeah.
So on Wednesday, like the day after tomorrow, at this time, I'm my wife and I are going to Ireland.
Wait, what? That's not fair. How does that happen?
We've had a baby moon. I've had 2 days planned off for a baby moon for months. For months. just like an extended weekend. We were going to see my aunt in Maine, but I couldn't get a hold of her till like a week ago.
Okay.
And she had some cabins up there. She runs a little thing, and I've never been up there. She doesn't have a cell phone, so I couldn't text her about it. So I've been trying to call her a landline. Long story short, she's winterizing and closing them down because it's like 50 degrees in Maine,
Oh
and
my goodness.
they're not winterized, is what I meant to say. So a week ago, we were sitting looking at each other like, well, where are we going to go for the baby moon? And we went to last minute deals, and you could get very good round trip tickets to Dublin. So we're going to Dublin.
For how long? Oh my God.
Just like 4 days. But the round trip was like $500. So it was like, a little extravagant, but also, she loves international travel. We never get to do it. We haven't traveled internationally together, I don't think, since the year we got married. And we're certainly not doing a whole lot of it with a kid.
No.
So like,
where are you staying? Do you have hotels? Do you have places to stay?
We're staying in Dublin for 2 nights at a hotel.
It's a big city.
At a hotel. And then we're doing one like half day trip. We're not going to rent a car. We're just going to mostly stay in the city. One on Saturday, the plan is though to take a train to Belfast and rent a car so that we can do the Giant's Causeway. Oh, because all the reviews online say the Giant's Causeway, you need more than a couple hours, and all the day trips, you'd spend like an hour there, basically. I don't know if that's true.
I'm going to disagree with that.
Ooh, I'm gonna. So this is. Did you see the Causeway?
Yes.
All right. Let's do it. So that's the plan is. So Thursday we've got a whole day planned. We've got a half day trip. The Dublin Theater Festival is going on.
Oh,
so we're gonna see a play. We're gonna do a Ulysses tour because my wife is very literary, and it'll be great. And then
I can give you a fancy, a very nice foodie type restaurant that my cousin took us to right in downtown Dublin. Called the Winding Stair. I'll give you this information if you want. I don't know where you're staying. We stayed at the Arlington Hotel for 2 nights, and then we stayed at the Harding Hotel our last night. Both lovely places at reasonable prices. And the good thing is, for a man of height, the Harding Hotel had a full-size shower with a handheld wand. It was the only day I felt clean my entire trip, and it was when I was going to the airport to come home. Because every other shower was either a cryogenic tube or the Arlington had a bathtub. So that one was a shower. Everything else was these little tubes, and my undercarriage was never clean the entire 9 days. But that was, so we land at, first, I'm going to say this first off. You are the smartest man in the world not to rent a car in Ireland. Driving in Ireland is frustrating, terrifying, dangerous, repugnant, every negative adjective I could put into it, because we had to rent, nothing there is big. So you're renting a small car, and I am a giant man. Once again, teaching me the lesson that I am too big to go overseas, because everywhere I went, I was a giant, like a freak of nature. I was the Finn McCool of the modern age. When I stood at Giant's Causeway, they thought the giant had come back to life. It was ridiculous. That being said, I will put the driving stories all real quick. We picked the car up the 3rd day, so Friday morning. We landed on Wednesday morning at 5. We picked the car up Friday morning. Within 1 block, Debbie was already yelling at me that I was going to sideswipe cars on my left. Now, I had no problem staying on the correct side of the road. That was never an issue. The issue with me was defining the amount of space I had on the left. Now, when we learned to drive cars, I never sideswiped anything over here. It's the same distance, but because everything was backwards, I was having a lot of trouble with depth perception on that side of the car. That and the fact that I could barely see over the hood because I had to lean so far back to drive this car. The rear view mirror was extra long, so it was blocking out 1/3 of the windshield. So I was basically driving through, when you carve a little hole in a shoebox to look at an eclipse? That's kind of how I was driving the car. Very, let's say, limited visibility at best. Best $10 I ever spent was a phone holder that clipped onto an air vent. I brought that with me to Ireland so I could put my phone there and look at the look and listen to the navigation myself and not have to worry about Debbie, who was worried, yelling, go to the right, go to the right, go to the right, go to the right. Got out of Dublin. The highways were fine because, like I said, going and roundabouts, 98%, no issue. It was when we got to Cove Friday, and this is all, and we had to go the little tiny one-lane cow pass that should not have one car on them, let alone two. And I was having trouble going up the plate. We were staying at a B&B up on this hill, and I took, I was like along bushes. Didn't scratch the car, just left that bush mark on your car.
Mm-hmm.
The next morning, we're leaving there, and we're going to Blarney. As we're going through a part of Cork, these two first of all, the locals there drive like they're always drunk. And maybe they are. I don't know. But these two work vans go flying by me, and then they were going to make a right-hand turn. So they swung out, to make a wide right-hand turn, and I overcompensated, hit the curb. The minute I hit the curb, I knew the tire was flat. Thank God I was able to pull it off to the side on a side street. And the car rental company place that we went through, My Irish Cousin was the name of it. I'm giving plugs for everybody who did me good. You paid for it comes with full coverage. You don't have to worry about anything. I call the number. 40 minutes later, a truck shows up with a brand new tire. Zit, 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 zit. We're off.
Dude, that's better than that time your car broke down on the way back from New Orleans.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
By a lot.
So the driving was just harrowing, especially as you got like from Blarney to Charleville. It was literally 2 hours of one lane road with things coming at me. And I got much better as the week went on, but that was it.
But that's the whole country is just 2-lane highways. No,
thank God they have the big motorways. The best drive ever. Oh, from Dublin down to Waterford was highway.
Oh.
From Waterford, most of the way to Cove was 4-lane road. And then the whole trip back from Galway to Dublin, the final day was motorway. So I'm going 120 kilometers. Brum, I don't care. I'm passing people. I don't care. At one point, I actually allowed myself to take my hands off the wheel because I drove white-knuckled with tunnel vision for an entire week. And it was, I thought I was going to pass out. It was insane. I always had a headache. I couldn't sit up straight in the car because my head was hitting. I was like leaning back. The driving was everything I feared it would be.
Wait, only you drove though. Your wife didn't drive.
No, she didn't want to drive. She said she would have driven because there was a point where I didn't want to drive anymore. I was like, I can't do this on these little cow paths. But then she was like, well, you can, but it's going to be really bad for you sitting on this side. And I was like, oh yeah. And I found that to be true, as I'll tell later. But so we get to Dublin. We get to Dublin at 5 a.m. and we're ready to roll. Now I hadn't slept on the plane for whatever reason. I just couldn't do it. We get everything we had read about the Dublin airport was wrong. We got off the plane, no problem. Through customs, no problem. Our bags came down, no problem. Everything was smooth as silk. We were out of the Dublin airport probably in a half hour.
What did you read about it?
In this stupid Ireland travel group on Facebook, everybody was having problems. Oh, everything, 3-hour waits, you got to, but whatever. Bags are getting lost, all this other garbage. It was perfect. We get in a cab, great. Guy takes us to the hotel. He's not very chatty, but he was answering questions if we had any, and he was being very, very nice. Get to our hotel. They're like, oh yeah, your room's not going to be ready, but we'll take your bags. Okay. So now it's about 6-ish, 6:30. We decide we have breakfast and we're going to take off because we have things planned for the day. God forbid we take any rest on a vacation.
Oh my God. The first day?
First hours. What are you, crazy? We eat, and at 7:30 we're on the road. We landed at 5. At 7:30 we're strolling around Dublin. We walk to where we're going to take the bus tour the next day up to Belfast, which will answer one of your questions. Then we walked over to Trinity, and we're looking around Trinity because later that day we had a Book of Kells tour.
Nice.
Then yes. Oh, we're doing all the tourist stuff.
That's on our list.
It's very nice. Buy tickets in advance. Yes. So then we say to one of the ladies, Debbie buys her first souvenir at Trinity. We're only in country for a couple hours. Debbie's spending money. She's ready to go. She gets herself a nice Trinity t-shirt. We say to the woman, how far is the Guinness Storehouse? Because we have a tour at 11 o'clock. We don't have time to waste. She goes, oh, it's a long walk. You should take the bus or take a cab. I'm like, oh, what about the bus? Oh, get a Leap card. In fact, if we were going to see each other, I still have some money on my Leap card. I would have given it to you. A Leap card is to take the bus. So we're like locals. We buy a Leap card at the student bookstore. We get a little map. We're like, oh, all right, take this route. I get on the bus. I say, does this bus go to St. James Gate? Yes, it does. All right, boom, we're on the bus. We go. We miss the bus stop. I say to the driver, hey, where's Guinness? He goes, oh, I thought you knew where it was. It's like 2 stops back. All right, we hop off, walk over. We're at Guinness. We stop and have a cup of coffee. We're at Guinness by like 10:30. That's a time to start drinking. Why not? 10:30, we start our tour. The Guinness Storehouse, dude, you got to go. Make time.
Okay.
Go to the Guinness Storehouse. It is like Disneyland for beer. It is the greatest thing. We did the whole tour. You walk through yourself, but we then you can get like the basic tour where you walk through and you get a ticket and you go up to the I think it's the Oxygen Bar. There's a big bar on the 7th floor that overlooks all of Dublin, and you get a pint. We did the one where you get that, but then we also did where we learned to pour our own pint, so we get the goofy certificate that says we know how to pour a pint.
Nice.
It was fun because they take you in a small group, and they're all right. Here's how you do it, and you type in your name, and once you pour it, then they print out their certificate. They give you a nice little certificate. So that was great. We're like, oh, this is fun. We stayed there for a couple hours. Then it's we had our Book of Kells tour at 3. So we had to figure out something for lunch. We find we're just walking along. Take the bus back, walking around. We find a pub, go in, first pub meal, delicious. A lot of pub meals. We're not super fancy, but the food at the pubs is not like, they have like pub food, but there's always, full course meals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I had everything from a burger to fish and chips, to shepherd's pie. Debbie had steak sandwiches, all kind of great stuff at the pubs.
Did anywhere serve haggis?
No, because we are in Ireland.
I understand that. I didn't know. Maybe, it's across the border. Maybe some Scot moved over to Dublin and set up a Scottish restaurant.
Here's the thing.
Probably illegal there.
The next day, this is all going to come up. We got to see Scotland. That's right. Hang on. So then we go back to the hotel, we check in, and then we have our Leap cards. We're going to my cousin's house for dinner. So we walk over and we get on the train, and the train takes us down to her stop, and she picks us up. We have dinner. My 3 of my cousins are there. They're second cousins. Made a beautiful lamb roast and the whole thing. And we were exhausted, but they kept filling our wine glasses. Oh man, we had a great time. A lot of good crack that night, which is fun. And so they were there. And then my cousin Simon and his husband Tomas were like, well, we'll drive you back to the hotel. You don't have to take the train. We're like, thank God. Because we probably would have fallen asleep on the train and ended up, I don't know where. Well, we would have ended up in Belfast, which probably would have worked out fine since we were going there the next morning. Next morning we get up because here's what I've learned. I've learned 2 things on this trip. 3. Well, 1 I already knew. I'm too big for Europe. 2, I'm a hotel guy, not a B&B guy. I don't like bed and breakfast. I don't like them. Stayed at 2. 1 was fine. 1 was a nightmare.
Why?
Not really a nightmare. It's just, I don't like to stay at people's houses anyway. And if I'm spending a lot of money, I don't want to sleep in a place where he goes, you got to run the hot water 5 minutes before it comes up. Really? I paid like $200 to stay here. There's no water. And one of them, the ceiling in the bathroom was slanted. So every time I went to the bathroom, it was like I was on a bus. And you know how much I love being on buses.
I had such an American.
No, everything is it American to want to stand up straight when you pee?
Yeah.
Okay, well then,
you selfish monster.
Guilty.
You imperialist.
I'm 100% American. I want my 6'5" frame to be able to stand erect when I pee. And that's not a euphemism. That means I want to stand up. I'm not, the showers I knew were going to be small. That's fine. But I don't want to have to crouch the whole time.
Mhm.
That's just it. I didn't buy, it wasn't called the Lilliputian B&B or, the Land of Oz bed and breakfast.
Mhm.
It was, for, I assumed adults. But that's neither here nor there. Here's my tip for you for Belfast. We took a 1-day bus tour that included your choice of either a black cab tour of Belfast, which was phenomenal. Every driver in this black cab company was a former political prisoner. They take you through Belfast on Fort Street and to the Peace Wall, and they're telling you their stories, and two of the cabs kind of go together. So at a couple of stops, the guys alternate telling the stories, and it was great. It was horrifying. It was eye-opening. Yes, if it, it was all coming from the Catholic IRA perspective, but you take that with a grain of salt. But the rest of it was great. We got to sign the Peace Wall. We saw all these murals. It was terrific. Then the other choice was the Titanic experience, which is a big new museum up there. Right. But we got to see it because that's where the cab dropped us off to meet the bus.
Oh.
Then the bus took us to Dunlow Castle, which was used as Castle Greyjoy in, that's right, Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop you right there. First of all, we looked into the black cab thing. My wife was like, "Me, take it or leave it." Sounds like we should probably take it.
Yeah.
I like to learn about the history of the places I'm visiting. Like,
Mhm.
I love one of my favorite trips I ever took was Istanbul because I went with my parents and my dad knows the history. So he was talking, he's like, this is when this mosque was built and this is, where Suleiman did this thing. And
Yeah.
you get a context, right? Of like what the
Right.
country's gone through. So I like the black cab. All of the day trips from really Dublin or Belfast to the Giant's Causeway. Apparently, I don't know if this was someone on TripAdvisor somewhere commented, like, I think it was the economy. They consolidated the tours. So you have to go to Giant's Causeway and like half a dozen Game of Thrones locations.
Oh, no, not this one.
Not this
is the thing. They used, this tour used to include the rope bridge.
Right.
Which
That's
you can't,
closed?
it's closed to vans and buses and stuff. A small car, you can still go. But what I heard was my cousin said, it's like a 1.5 mile walk for a 50-meter rope bridge. So instead of the rope bridge, they added Dunlow Castle. And I'll send you the tour we took. They gave us maybe, I don't know, a half hour at Dunlow Castle to take pictures. The views were amazing. There's a lot of the ruins are still there. You can walk. It's pretty cool. Then we went to Giant's Causeway. And we had more than enough time because there's three different ways from where the bus stops to get to the causeway. You can either take the long hike, you can take a short hike, or you can take the shuttle bus. Well, as you can imagine, in my prime physical being, Debbie decided we were taking the long hike. Now you and your bride would probably make the long hike in a lot shorter time than Debbie and I did.
My wife is 7 months pregnant.
Still,
she still might. She's
I'm
pretty
gonna stand by my.
She would beat me. I understand. I'd be at the same pace as you two, but yeah, no.
So no, you wouldn't. You'd be so because it's up, and then you get to the top of the hill and you walk along this path, and then you come down stone steps all the way down from this cliff that's way up there. Look out, it's way up there, Cody. You come down these stone steps all the way to the beach, and then you walk back toward the Giant's Causeway. And it's beautiful. It's amazing. The scenery. When we left Dublin that morning, it was pouring. When we got to Belfast, it was gray and misty. When we got to the Giant's Causeway, Jesus had taken away everything. It was bright and sunny, and there were no clouds, and it couldn't have been more beautiful. And we strolled along. I did say halfway through the long hike that once we got to the bottom, we were taking the shuttle bus back up. which we did. And then we had time, depending on how fast you wanted to go and how how long you wanted to stay down there taking pictures and sitting on the rocks and whatnot. There were 2 places to have lunch, and we had a very fast lunch, some seafood chowder. Back on the bus, they took us all the way to the northern coast. And because it was so sunny and clear that day, we saw the Scottish Highlands, which are only 12 miles away.
Oh my God.
So there's how Scotland ties in. And you know the best part? We were able to relax on the bus.
Yeah.
We were able to sit there. We could talk. We could sleep. We could just relax. Our guide was lovely. There was we stopped on the way up once to go to the bathroom and stuff. And we stopped once coming back, and those were not long stops. So you weren't wasting a lot of time. Everybody on our tour got back to the bus when they were supposed to. So everything was moving along. Ran into a little traffic on the way back, but that has no, you'd have sat in traffic. I was happy sitting in traffic on a bus because I could close my eyes. And then we got back to downtown Dublin, and the guide had given us some tips. We went to a beautiful pub. We had dinner, and that was that. But I think, like, for me, that kind of tour was the best kind of thing because you got to see everything. I did learn a ton more than I knew about the Troubles and how things are still really going in Belfast. And now my cousins were like, well, you got to remember those are, these guys have their own point of view. And I was like, yeah, of course. So, you take it with a little grain of salt, but there's still a lot of stuff that's happening up there that was not lovely, but the tour itself was great.
So wait, this tour was from Dublin or from Belfast?
From Dublin.
From Dublin. So to get to you go to Belfast, that's like a 2-hour drive-ish on the bus. You get to Belfast, you do the 2-hour black cab tour.
It was all in all about 13 hours.
Oh, I knew that. I knew it's a full day, but the black cab tour is pretty long, right? Like an hour or two?
Yeah.
That.
Maybe hour and a half, something like that.
And you land at the Titanic deal. They get you to the castle. How long were you at the castle?
Half hour, tops. Enough to look around and go, wow, look at these beautiful views and take some pictures. But not too long. Not too long.
And then you were at the Causeway for probably like an hour and a half or so, 2 hours.
Yeah.
And you didn't think you needed more?
No, I didn't. I was like, this was good. I mean, it depends what you want to do. Yeah. There's not much to do. Once you walk the cliff and see the stuff and take in the scenery, it's like, okay, what are you gonna do? It's not like there's an amusement park,
Sure. I didn't know how much, like, if people hike all day there's a lot of, because you can walk around for a minute, right?
Oh yeah, the hike took a while to get, but the one hike basically brings you to the stairs, and that's when you go down. But there were some other. Yeah, if you wanted to hike there all day, you could. I'll send you the. I'm going to send you the. What we.
Yeah, if you got it. Yeah,
I'm looking right at it now.
That's the one tricky thing is it feels like too much travel in one day for us. Because you get the 2 hours north, then you get to Belfast, then you go another hour north to Giant's Causeway, and then it's a 3 hour.
Well, didn't you just say you were going to do that?
Well, we were going to one of the days take the train to Belfast, spend the night there.
Spend the night. I see.
In the morning, rent a car, drive up to Giant's Causeway, then hit a couple other locations on the coast. And then take the car back down to a castle outside of Belfast where we would stay because it's a castle hotel.
Oh, okay. And then you could go to Bushmills. We drove through the town of Bushmills.
We discussed Bushmills. I don't think that either of us it's on our list. I've been to the Tullamore distillery in Tullamore. And I don't know. I don't need no shade to whiskey or beer distilleries, but like they get to be a little repetitive after a while. But you didn't think the Guinness one was like that. Guinness one was kind of
Guinness. Well, because it's Guinness, and it was it's and we did do a distillery tour the last day. We went to Teeling, which is which was the first distillery to come back to Dublin in over 120 years. There used to be all kinds of it. There's a lot of history about Dublin and Irish whiskey and all of that. And then Jameson left and didn't come back, and Powers left and didn't come back. And for a long time, there were no distilleries making Irish whiskey in Dublin. And Teeling came back and began it. And it was a fun little tour and great. We did a little tasting. And then, of course, at Duty Free, we bought a number of bottles. But they also had a distillery exclusive bottle that was very delicious. And they would customize the label. Like if you were, say, it was Brian and Debbie's 30th, maybe that's on the label of the bottle. And it is. Yes.
Nice.
So, I didn't realize you were going to stay in Belfast.
Yeah, well, but this is what I'm weighing my options, right? Because if you're like, oh, just left from Dublin, do the tour, they handle everything, no transportation, fine. Because right now I have to figure out the logistics of taking the train up there, getting some kind of cheapish hotel, because I don't know that there's that much to do in Belfast. It doesn't.
It sounds kind of rough, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
and they still close the gates every night.
Oh my God.
Between the Protestant side and the Catholic side, they close the gates. Now there is a big city center, and that's near where the Titanic exhibition is. And there's hotels, and I mean, it's a city.
Sure.
But, that's kind of no man's land. That's neutral ground, we were told.
Man.
Right. But like the day of the Queen's burial, the Catholic taxi drivers were told not to go into the other side. So there's still stuff going on up there.
Yeah. Okay. That's wow.
I liked it because even though we left early, we were back in time to have a nice dinner and be in our hotel. And, if you want to spend more than a day up there, then that's your plan is cool. We were trying to, because we're jamming as much as we can into every second. It's ridiculous.
Us too, but dude, the logistics of getting to a car rental place, particularly one that's open on a Sunday in Belfast, could be challenging. And then again, we got to get used to the crazy driving. We've got like a day with the car. And
once you get out of Belfast, as you get up toward Giant's Causeway, it's that narrow, crazy, some of those two-way, one-lane roads. So,
yeah,
I sent you the info, and
thank you, appreciate
you're welcome. It was a really fun tour, and the best part was, if you're tired, you don't have to worry about. You just sit back,
right,
and relax.
Yeah.
Then you get back to town in time to go have dinner somewhere, and you have a nice dinner, and boom. And there's two pickup spots, and there's two drop-off spots, both downtown. So,
and notably, you hate buses, and yet here you are.
I do hate buses. This one did not have a bathroom, which I'm glad of. I don't want to be riding around with somebody's garbage, but they stop soon enough for a nice little break. If you want to get a cup of coffee or something on the way up, and then they do the same on the way back. Beautiful.
Very nice.
Yeah. So then we leave. We get the car. We go to Waterford. Beautiful town. I'd never, we of course took the House of Waterford tour.
Yes.
And it was extraordinary. And Waterford's a cool little Viking kind of town. So I had done some research and I knew what pub we wanted to go to. So it was about a 7-8 minute walk from the Waterford factory. So we walked through the town and into the beautiful town square and saw these sights and had another pub lunch. Delicious. Always fun to have a pub lunch. Nice. Then get in the car and head to Cove. And the big plan, this was the plan when we were scheduling the trip. We were going to Cove because just off the coast is where Spike Island Prison is. My grandfather's brother was imprisoned on Spike Island for his actions with the original IRA, not the modern ones, but this is back like in the 30s. My grandfather was also involved, but fled the country never to return. So we were going to go over because supposedly there's a plaque of I don't know what his relation would be to me, my grandfather's brother, outside. And on the website, they had nighttime tours, advertised nighttime tours. We're like, oh, that's perfect. We'll get to Cove. We'll take the nighttime tour. It'll be spooky. And then we'll be fine. Well,
great uncle, by the way.
Great uncle?
Mhm.
All right. So turns out they lied. They haven't started the nighttime tours, or they were starting them the next Saturday. They were only doing them once a month. But we were still like, okay, this will be fun. We'll still go and enjoy. It's the last port of call for the Titanic before it left for America. So we get there. That was where just getting to this crazy B&B, which was like a wellness spa kind of place. I don't know. It was fine, but I sat there on the bed and I'm looking around and Debbie kept going, you got to remember, it's like somebody's house. It's an old house. I go, I know, but if we checked into a hotel that looked like this, we'd be livid. So, okay, the hosts were very nice. It was fine. I'm just a hotel guy. I'm a hotel guy, unless there's no other way to do it. So anyway, now I'm in a horrible mood, not just because of B&B, but because of the drive. The drive was terrifying. This is the first day with the car, and I'm stressed out. I now have a headache that feels like somebody's been beating me with shillelaghs all up and down the entire southern coast of Ireland, and we got to walk into town. Now, we knew when we booked this B&B, it was like a mile to town, and we both said, oh yeah, that'll be no problem walking into town. Little did we know, because it's a coastal town, it's all up and down. Steep hills. Cody, if I never walk up a hill again, I'm good. If I never go down a really narrow stone circular staircase in an ancient castle, I'm good. I've done it. But there's Debbie had seen this picture millions of times on different websites of, there's a beautiful cathedral in Cove, and then there's a street of houses they call the Deck of Cards, because it's all they're all different colors. And she had seen these pictures, and you could see the cathedral from everywhere in town. It's gorgeous, but we thought we had found the house, but we couldn't get the view she wanted for the picture. So we're walking around. She goes running into a pub and asks the woman, hey, what do we do? Oh, you go back up here, and along the wall, there's a hole in the wall. But be careful, because if you call up, a lot of people have fallen down. So don't fall through the hole in the wall, but you'll be able to get your picture. We go back, there's no hole in the wall. But I'm tall enough to stand over the wall and get the picture. So we get the picture. It's gorgeous. Then I wanted to go to the pub that was allegedly the place that many of the Titanic passengers might have had their last drink or food.
Oh, I love those. Allegedly is.
Well, there's a big place. It's the bar has been there since before the Titanic. It's the oldest bar in Cove, and it's tiny. Seats about 50 people. And there's a plaque outside that says, they probably had their last food here. Whatever. We go in, and this tiny little pub is packed. So we have a pint, take some pictures, and then I had read that just up the block, the Roaring Donkey poured a great pint of Guinness. And I wanted to do these two because they were at the top of the hill. The rest of the town were at the bottom of the hill. So I wanted to get all the top of the hill business taken care of before we headed down the hill. So before we leave the first pub, I say to the bartender, hey, where would you recommend getting some dinner around here? She goes, well, they stopped serving food at 8:30 in the pubs, and it's Friday. It's kind of crowded. She goes, if you want, just go across the street to the Chipper, and you can bring your food back in here. And we laughed. Oh, that'd be nice. Very good. And we left. We're like, we're not gonna do that. So we go to the Roaring Donkey. We sit down at the bar. We're having a pint, and the young bartender says, oh, where are you from? I said, Chicago. He goes, oh, the Bears. I love the Bears. My dad loves the Bears. I watch the Bears every Sunday, blah, 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 blah. It was like, oh, very nice. So as we're leaving, we're like, do you want to try to walk down there? It's getting late. And we end up, long story short, we go to Apache Pizza, across the street from the pub. We order a pizza. We carry it across back to the pub. We walk in. Now there are the bartender, 3 old men at the end of the bar, and a guy and his grandfather in the little room. That's it. And I'm like, hey, you want some pizza? They're like, oh, no, thanks. So we sit down, we eat our pizza. And then here's my Irish baller move. I said to Debbie, I've never been able to do this before. I'm buying the house around. Because we're listening to the old men, and they are making me laugh my ass off. So I'm like, buy the house around. I don't yell it out. I'm discreet because I've done this before. So then the old men.
You've never done this
Never.
before. No.
Never. Then the old men invite us over. We spent like 2 hours talking to these old men at this pub, talking about politics and Cove and this and that. And, one guy was making fun of his buddy because he had left Cove and moved to Cork, and now he moved back and he was fat and he couldn't walk up and down the hills. And I'm like, man, I know exactly what you're talking about. So we were having a ball in this pub talking to locals. We walked down the hill. We went to the Titanic bar and it turned into like some Euro disco in the evening, like thumpy disco music. We poke our heads in. We're like, we're too old for this. Walked across the street to another pub. It was packed. Have a pint. They have a free all app. They don't have Uber over there. They use this Free Now is the name of the app to get cabs and stuff. So, because I told Debbie I'm not walking a mile back uphill to the B&B. I'm done.
Downloading that today. Now.
Yes, get the Free Now app. It works very well, but not in small towns like Cove. So Debbie goes in after a few minutes and asks the bartender, "Hey, are there cabs here?" Whatever. She goes, "Hold on, walk with me." She walks outside with Debbie, talks to 2 guys on the sidewalk. They make a call. A minute later, a taxi cab is in front of the bar, and a regular taxi, not just like they called their buddy who had a van. This was a legit cab. Took us there. It was great. Then it was off to Blarney Castle the next morning, and that's where I had the flat. But we got to Blarney Castle. The grounds are beautiful. The stairway to the top is ridiculous.
It's only like 2 floors up, isn't it?
Oh, it's very high.
Oh,
it's very high. And come on, Cody. I'm an old fat man. And my size 15 feet didn't fit on one step.
Oh no!
I was having to go weirdly sideways and crazy. And thank God they have bars. So I'm like pulling myself up and walking up. And again, I'm not complaining because this is the deal. And it's funny to me when it's over because I'm like, I'm so glad I did it. I never have to do that again. Because really, if you go to the Blarney Stone once, you don't have to go back.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it while I was there, but I never have to go back. I got down there, and when they lowered me in, man, I made sure I smooched the hell out of that rock. I planted full lips. I tongued it a little bit. I was good to go. My gift of gab is ready. It's cemented in. And for everybody who told me that they pee on the stone, they spray it between every smooch. So I went after Debbie. So I figure if anything, she got all the pee and I got all the her. So it's all good. It's all good. Then we walked around and took another cow path from there to Charlottesville, where we began the family 2 days, part of another side of the family, which was unbelievable. So Saturday night, we hosted a dinner at the hotel we were staying at. Another reason I love hotels. It was a hotel. It was great. Parking lot, perfect. Right in town, terrific. Anyway, so we're in Charlottesville. All my relatives come over. All the old, like my mom's age relatives, and maybe a little younger, who I knew all of them before. I'd met all of them before, except one or two. There were two people about between like your age and my age, 2 of my cousin's sons, and they brought their wives, and it was great. And then here's a weird thing. My grandmother, my dad's mom, died when he was 14. They never spoke about her. There were no pictures of her in their house, nothing. We knew zero about my grandmother other than her name. 2 of her brothers came to that dinner. So I got to sit with her 2 brothers and ask them all kinds of questions about my grandmother. The Sunday was a long day, but it was the most emotional day of the trip because I started out in Abbeyfield, where my maternal grandmother is from. We had gotten the information of the guy who owns her house, the house she grew up in. He had bought it from her brother. He knew we were coming. Excuse me. COVID's not. He
Thank
knew we
you for
were,
that.
yeah, he knew we were coming. So he had planned out. So we get to this town, Abbeyfield, and I knew the house was up the hill from the church. That's all I knew, which is fine. So I stop at a petrol station, mostly because we had to pee. The guy, they had forgotten to leave the key, so he didn't have the key to the bathroom, so we couldn't use the bathroom. But he did know where the wards lived, and they're up at the top of the hill. All right. We call the guy. We parked down in the church. My cousin, the night before, had said, park down in the church, and then you can walk up. He's there. He comes out. He meets us. Now, he owns the house. His father built the house next door because they bought the land from my great uncle. He kept enough to keep the family house and some of the land. He sold off the rest of the land. And this guy now owns that house and was friends with my great uncle. So he shows us the house, and he's redone the front. We have pictures of what it looked like when he bought it. It was all overrun and there was fencing all around it. And so he did the wall and the front and the ceiling, the roof. But then costs got crazy and he couldn't finish it. So there's no back of the house and nothing on the inside was done. But he took us inside the house, tiny, as you can imagine, from the, early 1900s. One little family room, 2 bedrooms. The parents, so my great-grandparents slept in one room. My grandmother and her 4 sisters slept in another room, and her 3 brothers slept in the attic. Then out behind where the back of the house, they had torn off the back of the house because the chimney and walls weren't sound. So that would have been where the little kitchen was. As we were leaving, he gave me 2 things from the house that are both going to my mom. One of them she'll get very soon. One of them we're saving to have made into something else. Then he goes, all right, I've got all this stuff planned. Get in the car. He took us to the train station where my grandmother at 16 would have left to never return until she was much, much older. He was getting emotional talking about how all the families, that was where they had the American wakes, where they would take the people who were leaving because they didn't know if they were coming back or not. So a lot of them would get on the train. They'd go down to Cove or to Limerick, get on the boat, and some of them left and never came back. So he showed us that. Then he took us to a graveyard where he had found out where my great uncle and my great grandparents were buried. So I got to see that. Then he drove us around town and he showed us where one of my grandmother's sisters used to live and where 2 of her brothers used to live when they were adults, like their homes. And it was, putting it into words is very difficult because it wasn't sad, but it was really a connection. And it was seeing something that I had heard all these stories. I had heard my grandma tell stories about that house for years. So to be standing in it, in the room where she grew up, was insane to me. So then, now we had been telling him the whole time, oh, we got to get to Milford after this. We're going to meet the other side of the family. Oh, okay. Come on in. I'm going to do you a whole big fried breakfast. And we're like, oh, John, we can't. We don't have time. We appreciate it, but we don't. All right, let me just make you a little snack. Okay. 10 minutes. All it takes. Okay. So we're in his house, beautiful house. And he had a book about the church that my great uncle had written a poem for. And he had a picture of when Abbeyfield had won the All Ireland language speaking contest. And my great uncle Jack's picture was in there. And it was eerie. It was like looking at my grandma's face, except for a cap. Even Debbie went, that's him, right? And I was like, yeah, that's him. Because it looked just like my grandma. So the 10-minute to prepare the quick snack took about 20 minutes. And the quick snack was this beautiful plate of shrimp and smoked haddock and smoked salmon and brown bread and tea and this whole deal. So all in all, what I thought was going to be like an hour in Abbeyfield was 3 hours. So then we go to Milford, which is where my dad's side of the family is from. We get into Milford, and Milford is tiny. Milford is a village. Tiny. And my cousin has been texting me the entire drive over. So we get to Milford, I go, hey, Joan, we're here. Where are you? We're right by the church. Oh, are you looking at a big white house? I said, yeah, that's Eamon's house. Eamon is my grandmother's brother. So we walk up, we knock on the door. Eamon's ready for us. Eamon, his brother John, who we had met the night before too, and Eamon's girlfriend Mary, who had made an apple pie for us. So we got to sit down now. We got to have some apple pie and some tea. She really wants everybody to have some whiskey in their tea. I was able to avoid that because I begged off saying, I have to drive. Debbie, of course, got some whiskey in her tea. Eamon forego the tea altogether, just had a nice big whiskey. And John said, no. And Mary said, okay. And when she handed him her tea, she said, I put it in the just in case. So we're, now we're talking to them and we talk and this is the original house. This is the house my grandmother grew up in. Eamon has lived there all his life. When he was married, he moved back in with his wife and they've built on and changed some of it, but this is the house. So again, I'm like, this is where my ancestors came from. Walk down, they show us the school that they all went to. Then we go down 2 blocks to another cousin's house. He's the head of the Milford Historical Society. He takes us to another graveyard that they've been trying to save and refurbish. That's where I see Noonan graves and Walsh graves and all family graves going way back in time. We get back to his house. There's sandwiches and cookies and tea and all this stuff. Now, meanwhile, my cousin, this is Mike and Mary, my cousin Joan is waiting because she is, she's having us for dinner. We didn't know that. She had been planning this dinner all day. We didn't know we were having dinner at Joan's. So at first her sister was going to drive us. Then Joan got impatient. So Joan drove over from her house to pick us up. And she said, I'm going to pick you up in Milford and drive you to my house because you'll never find it. It's in the middle of the country. She's right. We would have been dead. They lived, if they weren't in the middle of nowhere, they were as close to the middle of nowhere as you could possibly be without falling into it. You talk about dark. When we left their house, it was dark. Dark, like this is apocalyptic. It's so dark. And yet her husband, Tony, was driving us back to town like there was no tomorrow on this one-way road. Not one way, one lane. He was whipping. He's talking to us. He's driving. He's shifted. He's laughing. He's like, and now I'm sitting in the seat that Debbie usually sits in. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what she has to go through all the time with me.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing the whole day. So, but then now my cousin Liam has been waiting for us to come back because somehow the night before at dinner, Debbie was talking to he and his wife and explaining our schedule for the next day. And she jokingly said, oh, we get to sleep in tomorrow. We don't have to get up till 7. So they took that as we were leaving for Abbey Field at 7. And they thought we were going to be back in Charlottesville at, 2 o'clock. So they had gifts they wanted to take. I never got to the Hurley factory because they were, they left. So Liam and Debbie are going back and forth on WhatsApp. And she's like, oh, they left us something at the hotel and we got to get back. And turns out we get to the hotel and there was a loaf of brown bread because Liam's wife, Mary, had told her mom how much I like brown bread on Sunday morning. And her mom made me a loaf of brown bread. Then there were some other things. And Debbie's talking. He goes, I'm still at the pub. This pub Geary's in Charlottesville. If you're ever in Charlottesville, Geary's is the place to go. Because we had been in there the other day or the day before while we were waiting for the dinner. So we go back in and we see the bartender who was there the day before, a lovely young woman named Emma. We're like, hey, she goes, you came back. I said, yeah, I told you we were going to come back. I said, I'm looking for my cousin, Liam McAuliffe. She goes, oh, I know Tony McAuliffe, his brother. I said, yeah, they're my cousins. She goes, oh, I live a mile from their workshop. Bah, 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 bah. So we're talking, but we didn't see Liam. Then all of a sudden, Liam comes up. Hey, we see him. Now, now we're drinking pints. And all of a sudden, the bar is empty, or the pub is empty, except for the manager, her friend, Debbie, myself, Liam, and his friend. The door is locked. We're the only ones in the place. Closed down a pub in Ireland. Emma at one point she'd asked, oh, how was your day with your family and all this? And then we asked her, but there was supposedly a picture behind the bar years ago, my cousin Kevin was over there and got in a lock-in situation. And there was a picture of him behind the bar pouring his own drinks that was posted to the wall behind the bar. And I was like, I'll check. But we had to, a couple years ago, there was water damage. We redid the whole thing. The manager says, yes, that picture did exist. It's up in a box somewhere. But then Emma goes, well, you got to get behind the bar and we can take a picture of you pouring a drink. So I go behind the bar. I pour my own Guinness. I'm like, what do I owe you? She goes, no, nothing. And then she got Debbie a pint of cider, and it was hilarious. I don't know. The days are getting long and the time is getting short, but then the next day was Bunratty Castle, which that was still a lot of stairs, but there's a culture park there, or a folk park. The castle is in better shape than the Blarney Castle. It's been all rehab, not all rehabbed. It's still a rustic castle with ruins.
Right.
But then around it, there's like a little village, and there's the homes, the cottages, there's all different things. So we spent a couple hours there, and then we go up to Doolin, which is on the Wild Atlantic Way, and stayed in our second B&B was there. Went to a pub that night, had dinner, listened to some music. Next day we go to the Aran Islands, and it was, thank God we were prepared, because that was our weather day. We had great weather, except the one day we were going to be on the ocean.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
The Aran I thought, where did you leave from to go to the Aran Islands?
Doolin.
Okay. Because a lot of the Aran Islands ferries aren't running in October. So,
well, we were there in September.
But I do think that Doolin you can, because I think that from Galway, is it?
From Galway, it's a longer ferry ride from Galway. There are ferries leaving from Galway, but the Doolin to Aran ferries leave, because the first day we got there, the winds were howling, and we went down to the dock to see where it was, and we asked the ladies in the booth, we're like, are they going to be going tomorrow? She goes, oh yeah, we went today, and it's not supposed to be as windy tomorrow. We're going. Okay. The Aran Islands, we only went on Inishmore, the biggest one. Mm-hmm. Man, it is beautiful. It is rugged. It is crazy that people will ride bikes and walk on these roads where there are also vans. On the ride over, we made the wise decision to forego our bike rental, and we got a van, because it's 5 miles out to this fort that's way up on a mountain. And no way. It was raining. It was cold. It was fine to be out because we were prepared with our gear. So that wasn't it. But it was like, we only got so much time on the island. So Owen, we go to the Aran sweater mill, because you got to. And we got because that was the only thing I wanted when I went over, was getting a sweater and getting a cap. So I got both of those. And then we come out, and they're running, there's all these guys down by the dock trying to sell you their tours.
Right.
And they'll take for €20, they show you the map, and they all do the woman at the tourist office said the same thing. They all take you the same places. They'll take you up to the fort. They'll give you time to walk up and walk back. They'll take you down to the 7 churches. Then they'll drive you back up along the north coast where Seal Bay is, and then they'll bring you back to town. So we knew that. We knew everybody was charging €20. Fine. So we talked to this guy, Owen. I'm like, what do you got? And he tells me, and I go, okay, how much? 20. He goes, if you want a private one, it'll be 70. Because I'm waiting. If not, I'm leaving in 10 minutes. I'm waiting for some people who just walked in there. Yank. He points to the restaurant. I'm like, oh, all right. Well, we'll wait 10 minutes. That's fine. And so Debbie and I walk over, and blah, blah, blah. Or, we're not some yokels.
Yeah.
So I walk back. I go, that's a long 10 minutes, huh? He goes, well, how about 60? Take you by yourselves for 60. And I'm like, sold. Let's go. So we had our own van. Owen drove us out, and he couldn't have been more. He told us all the history of the island. He talked about the thing. We get to the fort. Now, supposedly, 20-minute walk up, 20-minute walk back. That's what they tell you. They lie. Because only 2/3 of the way up is like a path. The rest is climbing up rocks that are today wet and slippery and moss covered because of the rain. So Owen drops us, and he goes, I'll be back in like an hour and 45 minutes. That'll give you plenty of time. You'll be able to get up, take pictures, walk back down, maybe get a cup of coffee. We got back 5 minutes before we were supposed to be there. It was coming down was a little treacherous, but the views from up there, even on a horribly cloudy day, were phenomenal. And all over the Aran Islands are stone walls, because when they were building houses and digging up grounds and stuff, there was nowhere to put the rock. So they just made walls, but they're dry stone walls. So there's no mortar. These are all just balanced and wedged together. And I'm telling you, you can stand there and push on these stone walls and they're not going to move an inch.
Wow.
It is, and it's all over. It's the whole thing. Then we go to the 7, he took us to the 7 churches and he's like, get out. What did you, 10 minutes, 15 minutes? And we did the same thing. We looked around, we took some pictures, we counted the ruins of the 7 churches. So we knew we weren't getting ripped off. And then we get back to the van. He's like, you done? Yep. Okay, let's go. And there were a couple places where, like one place I asked him to stop because he goes, oh, look, up at the top there, that's the ruins of St. Kieran Cathedral. It was built in the 5th century. I was like, can you hold on for a second? I said, my brother's name is Kieran, and we went to St. Kieran grade school as kids. He's like, yeah, hop out, get a picture. So I got a picture of the sign, and I've got a picture of the ruins. And it was the best. It was the best money we ever spent. Because one, even if we had rode bikes, which no thank you, when vans and cows and other people are coming by on these little roads, I was misguided. I thought it was like you drop on the island and it's just like a nice bike path, like going along the lake here. Yeah, it's not. It's not like going along the lake here. It's crazy. But that was that. And then we had the best meal of one of the best meals of the trip, top 3 meals at this place in Doolin called the Ivy Cottage. It was a beautiful little cafe. I had read about it. Someone had recommended it. It was great seafood. Oh my goodness. And then it was Galway the next day.
Hold on. Let me pause real quick on the Aran Islands question. So
Yes.
if you've not Google Aran Islands, ARAN Islands,
Yes.
They do look unbelievably beautiful.
They are.
From what appeared to me, first of all, do people live on some of these islands?
People live on all the islands. And there's times during the winter where they can't leave because the sea is too rough.
Wow.
So they cannot leave. They didn't get electricity on the Aran Islands till 1972. It started out with gas generators. Then finally they ran a power line from the mainland over to the islands.
Wow.
You got to be a tough SOB to live on these islands.
And they speak Gaelic is the primary language on the islands, I believe.
I learned this, Cody.
It's called Irish, right? Yeah.
And I asked why. Do you know why?
No.
Because there is Scottish Gaelic, Irish Gaelic, and Welsh Gaelic.
Oh.
So they just call it Irish.
Okay.
There's a little fun fact.
Oh, that's fun.
See, that's
edutainment.
a fun fact.
Edutainment always.
That's right. I learned some things over there between pints.
My picture of the Aran Islands that I've seen they've got all these stone walls everywhere, and so can you weave in and out of them, or can you ride the bikes like kind of in the middle, or
no? The stone walls are kind of like lot markers, so they square off somebody's field or around somebody's house, and they line the roads. So they're borders. They're like putting up a fence at your house. You'd have a stone wall around your yard.
Can you go into them though if you are walking around?
You could probably hop over them,
crawl around the walls and stuff, but probably no reason to do that.
Yeah, I don't know why. What are you, trespassing on somebody's property? Yeah. All right. Well, then you could get over them, or you could walk up to like their driveway and walk up, or you could hop over it. They're not really tall, They're maybe 3-4 feet at the most. Because you got to figure lifting all these giant rocks and balancing them. They just want them high enough so the cows don't wander off or the sheep don't wander off, which is true. Because all of a sudden you'll see like some cows just behind a stone wall. Crazy.
See, before I decided on Belfast Giants Causeway for a probable day trip, I was like, man, it'd be nice if we could pop over to Galway, take a little ferry over there, and potentially even stay on one for a night. But like I said, the ferry schedule is pretty rough. But it was like, it does look there's
a couple places you can stay on Inishmore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'll look into that.
Yeah. So that
Always
was
into it.
that was fun. In Galway, then we went to Galway, and we had a really nice hotel right in the city center, walking distance to everything. We saw. You'll appreciate
What's
this.
in Galway? I don't know anything about Galway.
What is in Galway? The little Galway girls are there. A lot of Galway girls.
What are Galway girls?
Listen to the song. You ain't seen nothing like a Galway girl.
Okay.
Spanish Arch is there. It's Galway Bay is there. There's, the usual. There's some castles and stuff outside, but in town, it's a city. It's the city of tribes. Galway is. So in the main square, there's flags of all the tribes, the Celtic tribes that settled there. Our friend Kevin from Beguile Brewing was in Galway the week before. He has Irish roots. I think his wife is from Ireland, and he was there for some beer thing. So I texted him. I go, hey, what's, are there any breweries in there? He goes, well, I don't know of any breweries that have tours, but Galway Bay Brewing owns some pubs. He said, and my favorite is the Salt House. So you know who went to the Salt House.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And what was on tap there? Beguile flannel pajamas.
Really?
Yep. I sent him a picture to show him that we were there. It was, so we walked all over. We went to the place that allegedly, again, but all the signs seem to point to this being true. The shop that invented the Claddagh ring. And because Claddagh is a little village in Galway. And this Thomas Dillon Jewelers has been making Claddagh rings since the 1700s. And so Debbie wanted a new one. So I was getting her that for our anniversary gift. And Molly was like, oh, I wanted to get, we got Molly one too. So, and it was this tiny little shop and it was really cool. So we got the Claddagh rings. We had one of the best Irish coffees ever in a little pub on the main street. This 20-some-year-old bartender with a man bun. Very nice. Went in, he made us an Irish coffee. He was, when we told him how good it was, he held his heart. And then when we tipped him a couple euro, he was very, very happy. So that was fun. Heard some music, had a nice shepherd's pie, and then it was asleep in a hotel bed and back to Dublin for Friday, where we hit the ground running. We dropped off the car. The guy told me, it's perfect. I was like, yeah, bye. So the day starts off great. The weather is perfect. The motorway is great. We get there. I don't hit anything in Dublin. I drop off the car. They call. A taxi is there within seconds. We get to our hotel early because check-in's not till 3. We got there about noon. They go, oh, your room is ready. You can check in right now. Damn Skippy. Boom, boom, boom. We had a few things on our itinerary. We wanted to go to Temple Bar. It's like their big party district, and the Temple Bar is this famous bar. But it's
the Temple Bar district is where I'm staying.
Oh, we were just outside the Temple Bar. We were at the edge of the Temple Bar district.
Actually, same. I'm at the south end of it.
That's probably not far from where we were. Because,
away from the river. The opposite. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, we were, so we
went to the Temple Bar?
Right. But we were told, go early. So we went, that was our first stop. Because all we wanted to do is get some pictures and have one pint and avoid the crowds. So we did it. Bang, bang, bang. We get our pictures. We have a pint. Then we go, Debbie wanted to go to the Famine Memorial. So we were already halfway there. So we walked the rest of the way to the Famine Memorial, which was haunting. These statues along the river and one of the ships that took people from the famine. Like the Famine Memorial talks about this one group that walked 200 miles to Dublin to get on a boat to leave Ireland to save themselves from the famine. And it is really, really moving and haunting. But no time for that. No time to be haunted. That's not true. We took pictures. We saw it. It was like that was a photo op day. There wasn't going to be a lot of lingering. So then we decided we're going to take a cab down to Teeling because it's way on the other side of town. We can't bus. So we take a cab and we get there. Our tour was at 3 and we got there about 1:30. And I said to the guy, hey, our tour's not till 3, but is there a pub where we can get some lunch? And he goes, well, do you want to eat before or after? Because if not, I can put you on a tour that starts in 5 minutes. Let's do that. So we're ahead of schedule, man. We're moving. Take the tour. Beautiful. We sit down at their bar after our tasting. We have a nice cocktail. Fantastic. We buy our custom bottle of whiskey to go with because in Waterford, we bought 2 Waterford whiskey tasting glasses in advance of knowing that we were going on a whiskey tour later. So
yes,
it's going to be a lot of whiskey over here at the house.
Yes.
Then it was some Umbrella Street, which is in Temple Bar. I posted a picture of it. It is supposedly one of the hottest Instagram spots in the world, Cody. Very, very exciting, this place. It's St. Anne's Lane. If you're staying near Temple Bar, you should look it up. And
I'm opening Instagram right now to look at your.
Yeah, it's probably there.
Might be on Facebook. I'll just check the Facebook.
Check the Facebook. It might be there too. If not, we'll figure it out. But so we find that the cab driver takes us. He drops us right near there. He goes, "You go down half a block. It's right on the left." Boom, boom, boom. We get our pictures. We are moving. Now the boat was a bonus. So we've gotten just about everything done that we needed to see. In fact, I think that was all we needed to see, because that night we were going to have one more dinner with my cousin Sarah Jane and her brother Simon at this fancy restaurant called the Winding Stair. I'm telling you, if you're in Dublin, go to the Winding Stair. It's just it's on the other side of the river from Temple Bar at the Halfpenny Bridge. Don't say halfpenny, say Halfpenny. The Halfpenny Bridge. And it is food was great. So then we have lunch at the bar with the largest collection of what's his name? The guy from Thin Lizzy, Phil something from Thin Lizzy. There's a statue of him outside. No, not Phil Collins. That's from Genesis. So we have lunch there. They built themselves the Cosmopolitan Pub, Bruxelles, and we had a lovely lunch. Then we go back to the hotel, had ourselves an Irish coffee, and then my cousin Sarah Jane had texted, "Hey, want to meet for a pint before dinner?" Sure. So we walk back into Temple Bar to the president, Phil Lynott. Thank you, Gina. Yes, Phil Lynott. And then we have a pint with Sarah Jane, and then we go over to have dinner. And in the meantime, we've also walked past Dublin Castle. We've walked past a couple other Dublin landmarks. So our last day from noon until 8 was jam-packed with fun and frolics.
Dude, now wait, hold on. What's the most Instagrammed thing? What is the image of?
It is us. Hold on, I'll get it. It's us on a street where they hang umbrellas over it. Hold on.
All right, I'll find it.
I know I posted it on one of the pages, because I posted on my regular Facebook page.
I'll look. Hey, by the way, my over the weekend I saw my folks at a wedding. My parents both said they were loving all your photos.
Oh,
apparently they go on social media. I do not. But
well, and I was posting things mostly because that's what you do. And
it's for everybody, does,
I wanted it for my mom wanted to see stuff as we were going, and all of that. So
I see it. Very nice. Look at all those umbrellas.
Yes. Did you see it? It's very
nice.
So that's St. Anne's Lane. It's not far from where you're staying if you're staying near Temple Bar.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was it. And then Friday morning, we took our time. We just got up and packed and went to the airport, and we got out of there. Everybody was nice till we got to the U.S. TSA agent.
Oh God, no!
And he was a dick.
It's the worst part of any international trip is coming as the United States people.
Yes,
that work here. They're
because
awful.
From Dublin, the nice part is you clear customs in Dublin. So when you land at O'Hare, you just walk out and get well, when I say just walk out, it's about a 3-mile trek from the gate down a couple flights of escalators to the one international baggage carousel that is tucked away back in a corner because everything's under construction. So it took us well over an hour to get out of the airport. But we're at Dublin. Now, I don't know. I haven't. He goes, "Do you have anything to declare?" And I'm like, "No, but I'm holding a bag from duty free." And he goes, "Well, what's in the bag?" "I have 3 bottles of whiskey." He goes, "Well, you have to declare that." I go, "Okay, well, here." And Debbie goes, "Well, we bought it here." And I'm like, "Oh, shut up." He's like, he turns around and goes, well, you still have to declare it whether you bought it here. We don't charge duty. We charge tax. It's like, okay, jerk. No need to be so nasty. Canasta.
Yeah.
So that was the worst part, but that was it. That was the trip. It was wonderful. You are going to have a ball. I wish I was going back. I wish we had another 2 weeks. One, because I would have given myself a little more time to relax. Because we ran nonstop, like at an exhausting pace.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Almost too much, but when, like, the first time you're going, you don't know when you'll be back and you want to jam in as much. But the beautiful thing is the next time I don't have to do a lot of that touristy stuff. Like next time I know we would try to go into Shannon rather than Dublin. And we would go like down to the Dingle Peninsula for a couple days and stay in Dingle. And we would go up toward like Kerry and spend some more time in like Killarney and stuff like that.
You should go to Cashel though. See the Rock of Cashel.
Where is the Rock of Cashel? In Cashel?
It's like in the middle of the country.
Okay.
Just
a rock? What's a big rock?
No, it's at the top of the hill. It's this big cathedral and graveyard and like ruins. But that's where I stayed at a B&B, and that's the best bed and breakfast experience I've had.
Oh, well, that's a castle though.
But it's not. It's very ruinous, but the view, it's on top of a hill and the views around, you see the whole town is like a town square basically. And then you go up a little hill to this just hill and you look around and you're like, I can see the whole country basically. Nice. It's kind of in the middle of it's pretty amazing. So there's always a couple things did you see the Cliffs of Moher during?
Yes. That the Aran Island tour was, we came back from Inishmore and we dropped people off and then we saw the cliffs from the water.
Got it.
And it had cleared enough where we could see them. So it was very choppy. People were hurling off the side of the boat. That was not fun. We did not hurl because Debbie was smart enough. We had taken Dramamine at 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. an hour before we got on the boat. Dude, you laugh. It saved our lives because that boat was like perfect storming it a couple times. It was like going straight up and coming straight down and going back and forth. The seas were angry that day, Cody.
Okay. Maybe I may avoid taking the pregnant wife on that one.
I don't know.
Dude, every day we're there, the forecast is like 80% chance of rain.
Yeah.
We're going in October. We're like, we did not time. There's a reason we got the discount tickets.
Well, yeah, because October is when a lot of stuff starts closing up, early October. Because that was why we picked September, because the season was over, stuff was still open, things were still happening. But yeah, it's, you'll still have a good time. Dublin is still a fun city. There's a ton of stuff to see. We saw the Molly Malone statue. I did not rub the boobs, but you can tell the boobs were rubbed on Molly Malone quite a bit because they're all shiny and the rest of the statue is statue colored. I did not do that. I just took a respectful picture. Guinness was just fun, and sitting up in the oxygen bar and having one drink and looking out. And they have non-alcoholic stuff too for the bride. And I tried Heineken Zero at lunch when I was driving. It's this new, don't let them tease you. We got the download from Emma in Charlottesville. They have a Guinness Zero. She said it's awful. Awful. They also have a Guinness that is, or a stout Island's Edge that is by the people who own Heineken. Awful. People don't like it. Nobody's drinking it.
Ooh.
But the Heineken Zero was really good. I had it when we were at Bunratty Castle. Right next door is Dirty Nelly's, the original Dirty Nelly's. And we had lunch there, and I was like, well, I feel like a beer, but I don't want to, I don't want to have a beer when I'm driving. So I tried this Heineken Zero. Oh, it was delicious. Not that you have to drive anywhere, but that was like a little thing I found out. I also tried the Murphy's, Guinness, and I'm forgetting the third one. Son of a gun. I had to try all the Irish stouts because when we were over toward Cork, that's where two of them are brewed. So I had to try those. Those were all good.
Smittix?
So, no, I had a Smittix in Galway because I realized so much Guinness was giving me heartburn every night. It's getting a little acid reflux. too much Guinness. So I had Smithwick's with dinner in Galway, and that was delicious. Debbie had a lot of ciders. She tried a number of different ciders. I tried something, Red Ale from Galway Bay Brewing. I tried a nice Helles from Treaty Bay Brewing, which is in Limerick. So I told you I was doing research. I wasn't over there just drinking for no reason. I was doing some research, documenting all my pints and all my all my pubs and all my dinners.
Yeah. Trips do take a fair amount of research, I've learned the last few days.
Yeah, a lot of research to go. And, like I said, there's nothing on our list that the only thing on our list I would have done different is I wouldn't have booked a tour for the Book of Kells. I would have just bought tickets to go see the Book of Kells, because we booked a tour that first day and the guide was like 20 minutes late. And then she was flapping her lips the whole time. And I just wanted to go in, see the Book of Kells, go up. The library is really, really cool. That's right above it. That's all terrific. And you can do that yourself. You don't, because once you get in there, you're by yourself anyway. So if you want, and she wasn't really even about all the history. She was just, because
So
we had
what
walked
did the
around.
tour involve?
Fast pass, basically. You didn't have to wait.
I mean, what did the tour cover? What did she talk about?
She gave some background on the Book of Kells before we went in. And then they were supposedly they were walking over to Dublin Castle, but we had to go because we had to get to dinner with my cousins. So we found Dublin Castle on our own. So like to go to you can just go and buy tickets to go see the Book of Kells and the library. And we walked around Trinity for a while in the morning, and took some nice pictures and had a cup of coffee and looked at the campus and stuff. So that was really nice. And yeah, there was a lot to do. A lot to do. Nice. And you got to do it all in half the time, less than half the time.
Yeah. I mean, we arrived Thursday morning. We don't have a lot. Well, like noonish or Thursday noonish. We arrive.
Oh, yeah, wow. Okay.
We leave 10:30 p.m. Wednesday. Yeah, we'll get in around noon. Thursday, we're mostly going to kind of bum around, not really planning anything that day. I think there's like one thing we have planned that day. I think
you got to do like 6 that day. You got to hit the ground running.
We were going
to need to be on 2 tours by 3:00.
I think we were going to do the Guinness tour just to get the most touristy thing probably that we'll do.
Yeah,
I would imagine would be the Guinness tour. Do that, the Thursday, just hang out, get some dinner, find some nice places. Friday is pretty jam-packed. Ulysses James Joyce tour somewhere in the city.
Okay.
And then we're doing a half-day trip to the mountains south of Dublin, the Killarney.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're doing Killarney. And then when we get back, like I said, we're going to a play for the Dublin Theatre Festival. So that's like a 12-hour day right there, right?
That day's going to be crazy.
Yeah, and then like I said, Saturday's up in the air. Saturday, the plan is some way to get to Belfast and get a car and then do stuff. But I'm rethinking some of it. I'm gonna check the weather for Ernest more. Maybe we go to Galway or maybe we go to the Doolin instead, possibly. But the time I don't know. And then part of me is like maybe we just do the tour like you did. But I gotta talk to my wife. We got to figure that out. So Saturday, Sunday may be complicated, but like that. The majority
those
of
one-day tours are nice because even if you're gone all day, it's easy coming back.
Well, but we don't want to sit in a vehicle all day, right?
Right. So if you're going anywhere from Dublin across the country, it's 2.5, 3 hours across.
Yeah.
So like Dublin to Galway is 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Galway down to Doolin is another hour and a half.
Yeah. So
that's a hard one. But 2 hours up to Belfast was not bad. You'll find a ton to do. But all right, so you're doing a James Joyce tour. We have pictures from the James Joyce statue.
Nice.
Right down the street from that is a bar called the Celt. A pub. We had a very nice meal there. Delicious.
All right.
Try the Celt. Try the Winding Stair. Or the Woolen Mill. They're owned by the same people. My cousin Simon, who is a foodie of renown, worked at the woolen mill for a long time. So he took us to the Winding Stair because it's the same owner and everybody he knows works there. The food was out of this world. So those are, if you want to do a kind of fancier meal, those would be two that you could do. They're right on the river. It's North Quay or South Quay, which it would be North Quay. So the north side of the river, right at the Halfpenny Bridge. Those are the places.
I'm writing this down.
I
Thank you
hope
for the
so.
tips. That's why
No,
I said I had to preface your story with, by the way, any tips? We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
So.
no, that's so those for meals, those would be some places. We had a good time everywhere we went. There was never, we found ourselves in pubs all over, and it was just, because at one point we don't know, all right, like in Galway, where do you want to have lunch? I don't know. We're in Galway. We've never been here before. Hey, this pub looks fun. Let's go in there and have lunch. It was great. It was terrific. Hey, here's this place that's supposedly great for whiskey. Let's stop in and have an Irish coffee. Okay.
So you got to also keep in mind, my wife is a very different travel style than me. Well, not necessarily different, but she is not one for photo op type places.
Okay.
Like if we end up at the umbrella place, that'd be great. She'll be like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah, you may just walk past it.
But if I tell her, oh, there's a place nearby that's one of the most Instagram places in the world, she will go the opposite direction as fast as she can because she's a hipster, and that's fine. That's what I'm married. Right. It's great. But she also likes to get the local flavor. Yeah. I will say that her dream trip would be just the stuff you did with your cousins, basically. Having a pint with some locals, hanging out. So that's why.
Try to find a pub with no people in it and then buy the house around.
I absolutely am going to do that. I cannot wait to try to do that. So we got to balance it, right? Like the day trip to Belfast, if it involves a stop that's kind of just for, kind of get a little sense of it, a little photo op with a castle kind of thing. Again, that's like kryptonite to her. Me, I'm good. That sounds great. I would love to like pop out of the castle, take a look around, get a couple selfies, just taking the scenery, soak it in. I'm good. But I gotta attenuate the way we both.
Well, that was a nice thing about that, because right as I was like, okay, it was time to go.
Mm-hmm.
It was because there was nothing there. It wasn't like there was a gift store or a restaurant, or it was pull up, let's go walk through the ruins, look at the beautiful cliffs and the scenery, click, click, click. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. But, travel's weird. Travel's very weird. And you get this because you and your wife work full time. See, a lot of the travel that she did when she was younger, she was on like a Fulbright scholarship.
Right.
So there was like a bit more of a luxury of the ability to immerse yourself. And we've talked about this a lot. I think earlier in life, she would see people that would get, you didn't do this, but she would see people. There are some people that do the like, I have an itinerary every minute, 12-hour days for 5 days, and then I'm out. And some of it is just like, get here, check some stuff off a list. But what we realize as we get older is like, when you work hard, play hard, like it's kind of like, you got the grind and this isn't a thing you get to do. And so you want to get the most of it. And one way to ensure that you get the most out of it is to have a list of stuff, and you can look back and say, I did these 40 things and it's great. And
I didn't feel rushed really at any of them. The only thing I regretted was that, I like the places where we stayed more than one night, where even if it was 2 nights and we left the second morning early, like in Doolin, it was 2 nights. Charleville, it was 2 nights. The first 2 nights were in Dublin. So those to me were great because you got to, Galway was fine for one night because there wasn't much that we wanted to see. It was a city that I think if you were a young partier, it was definitely the city to be in.
Oh, really?
It's alive. It's bustling. It's really pretty. But yeah, it was. So I would like, if we were to go back now, we can build in a little more. Let's just sit and, we enjoyed everything. There would be a little more relaxation because we were the second night in Dublin when we got back from the Aran Islands, or second night in Doolin rather. We went to the place. We had a lovely dinner, and then we were going to try to go back out to the pub to hear music. The music didn't start till 9:30. And I know that sounds late, but we had been battered by the sea all day and out in the elements, and we had dinner, and it was like, do you want to go back out? And both of us were like, no, we heard music here last night. We heard music both days we were in Doolin. We'll hear music again tomorrow night in Galway, which we did. Let's just go to bed. So we finally, that night we were just like, all right, we're just going to crash, you know, because there was no point in trying to go out and be miserable and fall asleep at the pub, and nah.
Yeah. Yeah, you get there's a point, because I did go to Ireland 2007 for about a week, and I went with a ex of mine, and we kind of bussed around to various places, but we had Cliffs of Moher planned, go take a bus to Galway, do that.
Yeah.
We had a place booked and everything. And we were in, I don't think it was Cork. I think it was Tullamore or Rock, somewhere we were in the middle of the country. And she was just like, I'm taking too many buses. I'm getting car sick. Like, can we just like stay in Cork? So we stayed in Cork. We got like a Hilton. Like, I had to pay a bunch of extra money for it for like a last minute booking. It was like the only place, you know. We've been in these quaint Airbnb, there was no Airbnb. We were at these quaint bed and breakfasts most of the time, or these tiny little hotels, boutique little places, Irish flavor. And then you end up at this like 8-story Hilton in the middle of Cork. It was like a little bit kind of a hard left, but it was like what you needed, you know? And then it was like, okay, it's an extra night to kind of recoup and then go full into the other stuff, the rest. So I get it. Once in a while, and that's why Thursday we didn't really plan much, you know? We do the Guinness thing, but we could land and my wife could turn to me and or one of us could turn to the other and just say like, I need to lay down and I'm going to die. Or we could be energized. We're in a new place. Cool. Let's get up and out. So cool. We'll go to the Guinness. I'm guessing you can get a Guinness tour without pre-booking pretty liberally.
Yeah, I would check. I'll check. You know, but
that's where my I don't know if you know this. That's where my brother-in-law proposed to my sister.
Yes, and your sister showed me, because she got their selfies on the foam, their engagement picture on the foam. We didn't do that part. Like, sure. We didn't need that. But she's got a picture of her engagement picture on the foam, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So if you like Guinness, it's definitely worth going and learning about it. It's like, you know, we've been on brewery tours before. This is more of a big showcase of the whole thing. It's very informative. And it's cool, and it can be as long or as short as you want, because you're taking the tour. So if you want to read every little sign, could take you hours. If you want to just walk through and go, oh, this is cool, you could be done in an hour, and then getting your pint. If you want to learn to pour the perfect pint, it takes you a couple minutes more, but you get a second pint. So, you know, and then it's in an area called the Liberties. All right. So that's it's fun. It was, you know, there wasn't a lot around the brewery. And like when we took the bus, we had to walk up from the main street, but there was a little coffee shop down there. We had a cup of coffee.
Yeah. I've investigated a little bit, so I've kind of got my bearings. And that statue you talked about is where the bus is picking. Oh yeah, I already said that. Anyway,
no, wait, what statue?
For the day trip, the statue you talk about with the boobs rubbed off.
The Molly Malone statue?
Yeah, that's where they're picking us up for the day trip. Pick up at Molly Malone statue. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. I know where it is.
Yep.
5 minutes from a hotel. But dude, that's I mean, the family stuff. First of all, everyone in your family has the most Irish name I've ever heard. And that's great. Like how many Marys and Liams were there? Like I just the whole
there were
time.
A lot. And it was funny. Because people in Ireland are used to everybody telling them they're Irish and then being removed by like 3 or 4 generations. So when I would be talking to somebody and I'd say, you know, oh, we're visiting my cousins and my grandparents came from here and here, they would give me a look and they go, oh, you're really close. And I said, yeah, you know, we're pretty close, you know? So it was a little, with some people, there was that little extra like street cred. Like, oh, you're not trying to reach back and find somebody generations away. You know what happened in these towns and these houses. And so that was, it meant a lot to me to see all those people. And then to, for everybody, most of them had been over. So I had met them all before. So it was nice. And it was easier for me than going, hey, you have some cousins in Ireland you've never met. Why don't you just drop by? It's like, no, I'm going to see them. And they've been at my mom's house and we've all gone out to Aurelio's for pizza. And, so it was great. And, a couple of them got, my grandmother's brother, Eamon, got very emotional when we were leaving, like tearing up and crying. And the guy who showed me my grandma Leahy's house stood on the street as we were pulling out of town and was just waving goodbye as we were going. And he was very emotional. It was, and, unfortunately, a couple people over there that I knew have dementia, so we didn't get to see them. And, but we got there while most everybody that we know is still alive and kicking. So it was great. And to stand where my great grandparents were buried and see it's not that far away, for me. It's very close. And to be in my grandma's house, who, my grandma was a constant presence my entire life. I loved her like nobody else. And to be standing in her house, man, and hearing her tell me the stories of, her sister yelling the warnings because the black and tans were coming and them all hiding under the bed, and then seeing the room and how little the room was. And 5 of them slept in this tiny room and her brothers were in the attic. I'm like, what is going on here? And thinking to myself, the balls it must have took for these people. Like, my grandma was 16. She had nobody over here. And she got on a boat and came to America. And didn't go back till she was well into her adulthood. That's like nuts. Her mom had already died. She never saw her parents again.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dude, no, it
intense. Was crazy.
I'm very envious. I feel reinvigorated to talk to my father, because my dad's mother, my grandma, who passed away a few years ago, right, would get phone calls from her relatives in I believe Northern Ireland. The last few years she was around, like they all called her, wished her happy birthday. She had a connection with them, but I don't know if anyone else in my dad's family got that. Like, I never heard about them growing up. We never talked. She would just comment, like when we'd see her, like, oh, I've got all these people from Ireland keep calling me. And she was very cantankerous and would always make, kind of complain about it almost. But I don't even know. I don't know if there's enough, like, I think when she passed, I don't know if that connection was severed. Like, pretty heartbreaking. I don't use Facebook, so maybe a friend of a friend of a friend, or somehow some cousins got connected, but I'd have to do some digging, and it's such a short notice thing. So I don't think I'll have the same experience, unfortunately. Right. But it's all, you've known about this trip for a while. I didn't know I was going. It's been on my kind of bucket list to bring my wife to either Scotland or Ireland, or ideally both. But I didn't think, like, a month ago, I didn't think like, oh, I'm not going to go visit my aunt in Maine. We're just going to fly to Ireland for like 3 days. Like,
that's crazy. We were planning this for like 9 months.
And
so we had a lot of time and we also were going for 9 days as opposed to 4 days or 3 days. So we had some time to travel around, but it was about, and here's another little tip. You're not going to Northern Ireland. You're going to the north of Ireland.
Oh, okay.
And here's another thing that if you go, you will notice. Going up to the north, as you cross the border, there is a big sign. You are now entering Northern Ireland, blah, 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 blah. Coming south, back into the Republic, there is no sign. Do you know why?
Why?
Because the South does not recognize that is a separate country. To the people in the Republic, you never left Ireland. You were still in Ireland. They don't recognize that it is a separate country. So there's no reason to put a sign telling you you're back because you never left.
Well,
so there's, a little more interesting. I pick up interesting tidbits. So in the north,
very helpful.
in the north, it's under British rule, and we had to have pounds up there.
Yep.
So we had our euros in the Republic, and in the north, we had brought some pounds to take care of business. And and then you coming back, and there's no sign because you've never left Ireland.
Okay. I'll just say Belfast, Marta.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Belfast.
Good call, both of you. I'll just say, oh, we're going to Belfast.
Yeah.
No, northern. I'll let my wife know. She's aware of these things.
She's always up on those kind of things.
These linguistic.
Oh, when we got in the cab, that was one of the first things you said. You're not in Northern Ireland. You're in the north of Ireland. Oh, wow. Okay.
All right.
No, he wasn't correcting anybody. He was just kind of saying it as a fact. We don't call it that. And then our tour guide she made a point of telling us when we crossed the border going up and coming back. She's like, oh, we're going to be crossing the border. Let's see if anybody notices anything. And then she told us the story of why there's no welcome back to the Republic of Ireland. Because it's one Ireland to them.
Wow.
As it should be. But dude, if you want to know history and you do make it to Belfast, I'd recommend that Black Cab tour.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
I do love really history. Cool. It was really cool.
All right.
And it's very eye-opening. So listen, now when you come back, we'll have to have your so that's why you're not going to be here next week.
That's why I'm not going to be here next week.
All right, that's good.
Like I said, I had a baby moon planned, but again, thought it would be not international. And then, I'm looking at last minute deals and I'm like, well, maybe we'll go somewhere in the US, but I don't know, it was so cheap. Dude, we could have gone to Portugal. We could have gone to Lisbon for $350 round trip.
What?
350. The only reason we didn't is because my wife said that if we go to Portugal, she damn well wants to be able to drink the wine.
Oh,
and that's fair. She was like,
fair.
She's like, in Ireland, I can have a few sips of Guinness and I'm good. That's fine. Wine, Portuguese wine? No, we're going to save that. So
okay. No, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And actually the day before we booked Dublin, Edinburgh was cheaper. So
really
we came within a day of booking Scotland. But it bumped up. So it would have been $100 more. So it was like 640 round trip to Edinburgh. And then it ended up being cheaper for Dublin. So we
paid a little over $6
nice.
When we bought we bought our tickets 9 months in advance. We weren't buying them the same day.
Yeah. The real way, the good way to do it. So
but this is exciting. This is very fun.
It hasn't quite sunk in yet. Particularly because I haven't packed or planned most of the trip. We have hotel for Dublin for 2 nights. And then, so we check in Thursday night. So we have Thursday night, we have Friday all day booked and Friday night. And then Saturday, Sunday, and Monday are question marks. So
you have nowhere to stay those days?
No, I mean,
you don't know where you're going to be.
No, because again, the plan was to go to Belfast, but we just have to figure out the logistics of it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because again, it just gets very complicated when you involve renting cars in Belfast.
Yeah.
But
so you don't know where you're staying in Dublin?
I do. Yeah, no, I'm staying at the Art House Hotel. It is a new hotel. It's from this year. It's at the south part of it's ARTHAUS. It's a boutique hotel. It is technically St. Stephen's Green, but it is right at the south end, right at the south tip of Temple Bar. It's I don't know. It's a block south of the Lego store. It's actually a block down from a hotel.
Of the Lego store.
It's actually a block down from a hotel that is my son's name.
Oh, really?
It is my son's name hotel, but that place is $315 a night.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. However, maybe the last night in Dublin, maybe I'll splurge. I'm not going to splurge. I don't have that kind of money, but I would splurge if I had that kind of money. Because you can't, we're going to get a selfie in front of it. We're going to get a lot of selfies in front of places with my son's name. I imagine.
You must.
Yeah.
You must.
So, yeah, I can't believe you. Then literally it's so funny because if we had done this last weekend, we could have run into you in Dublin.
Oh, that would have been hilarious.
Would have been amazing. But
That would have been hilarious.
Yeah, my story will probably not be quite as detailed as extravagant as yours because I don't have
We don't have as
family.
much time
But hopefully we'll have
or
some
family.
have some adventures, meet
You'll
some
have
people.
some good time. I'm telling you, if you take my recommendations on the restaurants, you will not be disappointed.
I will definitely go to one.
If you go to Guinness, you will not be disappointed.
Yep.
The
Winding Stair or Woolen Mill.
They're right next door to each other, literally right next door to each other.
Okay.
The Winding Stair, this will appeal to your wife, is above a bookstore.
Oh my God, we're there. It
is above a bookstore.
I'm putting down literally go Thursday, the night we get there. We're gonna go.
And then I would call and make a reservation because it is not really big. And the night we were there, it was a Thursday night, and it was packed.
Did you make a reservation?
My cousin did, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I'll do that right now.
We made a reservation because we had a group of 5, but it was packed. So I would definitely make a reservation.
All right.
And then if you're looking, there is a lovely Aaron Sweater Mart in Dublin. If you need to buy your son some sort of Irish sweater or something.
Always.
He may already have a small gift in country. So we won't worry about that. But yeah. So have fun. And Temple Bar is great, man. You could wander around Temple Bar and just see all kind of craziness. We were right across from one of the big, our hotel was right across from one of the big cathedrals. It was beautiful. The whole place is great. You can just wander around everywhere, see all kind of beautiful stuff. You'll have a ball. I want to go back.
I'll take pictures.
Yes,
and,
but you don't share them anywhere, so nobody can see them.
True. Well, I'm looking forward to reconvening in 2
weeks. Yes, because next week I won't be here either. I will be on the radio. Yes, I will be on WTMJ next Monday from 6 to 9. I'm also on this Thursday from 6 to 8. So I hope you can listen. Travel safe. Have a lovely time. When we come back, it'll be Ireland Stories Part 2. Not my Ireland stories, but Cody's Ireland stories. And good luck.
I didn't even talk about the wedding I went to this weekend or any of that stuff.
Oh my God, we got a lot to get
things
to.
going on.
Sorry, well, we can keep going if you want, but it's late.
We literally said this was gonna be a short episode, and we were at 2 hours. So
I know. I'm sorry. I'm long-winded. I figured if I saved up my energy to do this, we get through it.
No, I wanted all of it.
Good luck chaining your son into his room.
Thank you.
That'll be nice. I hope DCFS doesn't come after you, but it's all lovely. Yeah, I'm glad now we did talk because the fact that you're going,
Well, when you texted me, you were sick.
Actually have some stuff. I actually had some stuff to input for you, so that's good.
I figured it'd actually make it more fun for you to know that too, because then you could throw in the recommendation part, and I don't remember what else I was gonna say, but no, this was good intel. I love it. Check
out the if you get a chance, the Famine Memorial too. It's right on the river on the north side.
Too dark.
Down by the customs house.
Too dark.
The James Joyce statue is on the north side, a few blocks north of the river over the O'Connor Bridge. So there's that tip for you. And that's it. I got no more tips. Enjoy yourself. That's my only tip.
Is Temple Bar like a Wrigleyville kind of a vibe?
Yes. Yeah. Because my cousin, with the bar we met my cousin at, she was like, "Oh, I used to come here. It'll be like I haven't been here since I was like 23." So yeah, there's definitely that vibe. It's the big tourist vibe. But if you're going, if you want to see the bar, my tip would be, and this was the tip we got from the driver: go early, get yourself a half pint, look around, say you were there. There is a picture of there's a statue of James Joyce at a table with the Temple Bar. You can get your little picture there.
Oh yeah.
And then just say, yes, I was at Temple Bar in the Temple Bar in Temple Bar.
We'll do it.
Yeah. Enjoy yourself. Have fun.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
This is a good episode, and that's all I have.
That's all I have too. So
bye.